Chapter 1. Jayla. She stared at the letter in her hand. Her hand was shaking so badly as she looked down at it. It had been 6 long years since she had fled the Blood Moon Pack, and now here she stood, looking at an envelope with her pack seal on it. His seal. She lifted her eyes from the envelope to the beautiful boy playing with his sisters on the floor of the living room of her apartment. This is not happening. It can't be. They had somehow survived and moved on with their lives, were living peacefully well away from the pack. She had never returned, just like he'd told her. To this day, she was still somehow a member of the Blood Moon Pack. By the grace of Goddess, Alpha Blaine had never severed her from the pack. She was still tied to it in some small way. Her 3 children were playing and roughhousing with each other. Jayla had just gotten home from the law firm Stanton & Co. where she worked in the human world, as far away from wolfen society as she could get. Had stayed away even when she had desperately needed her family, learned to live alone, how to be strong for her children, made friends in the human world, created a somewhat human family attachment to help ease her pain and loneliness. Her son, so handsome and strong-willed, filled with determination and courage, just like his father, had blonde tousled hair and naturally tanned skin. He was so beautiful and full of life. He looked up at her with his brilliant green eyes, her eyes. It was the only thing he had gotten from her. Everything else was from his father, a man who hated her. The girls also had blonde hair and green eyes. She let their hair grow long. It was wavy like hers, but not dark brown like hers. Their temperament was much softer than her son. He was much bigger and stronger, and was their protector at all times, though he was only born 3 minutes earlier. Little Nate was a good 2 inches taller than his identical sisters Lily and Rosalie. Most people thought he was their older brother about a year apart, and Jayla did not delusion them. She stepped into her kitchen, leaving them to play as they were, her eyes turning to the envelope in her hand. Kora, too, was quiet in her mind, not certain what was about to happen to them or their lives. She could feel concern ebbing off of Kora. It was filtering down into her, too. She opened the letter and read it. Jayla Freeman, you have been officially recalled back to Blood Moon Pack. You will respond to this letter within 7 days and let it be known the day of your return. Alpha Nathan, Blood Moon Pack. How he had found her, she did not know, but she was not going back. Taking a match, she lit the gas stove and set the letter and its envelope on fire, and watched it burn to ash. Defying him was not something that she should do, but she could never go back. Not ever. Turning to her mobile phone, Jayla started looking at listings for a new place to live. She had to move in quickly. It took 4 days to find a place that was available right away. It was not close to her office, though. She now had to commute. Jayla paid out the lease on this current apartment, as she was breaking it, and moved her and her children as fast as she could, leaving her lovely beachfront apartment for one further in the city. It was larger and the price was the same. It had more room for the kids to play. It had a doorman and night security, so at least she wasn't about to be surprised or ambushed. Jayla moved the children to a new school as well. She had never truly hidden herself, just stayed away at all cost. Even Kora had to suffer, never truly getting the freedom she so deserved. Hardly ever got a chance to run free. Living in this human city took a toll on her. It was like being punished every day for one tiny crime. One mistake to protect her unborn pups, and they had suffered for it. That suffering had made them both stronger-willed, and no more did they let their heart decide anything. Only logic and reality of a situation weighed in. No wolves were allowed in their world either. Not anymore. Stanton & Co. law firm had been home to them since passing the bar exam. She had Lauren and Tony, her most trusted human friends. Lauren had delivered her pups, their unexpected arrival during a lunch meeting with Tony, whose wife had been visiting. She was a doctor, thank goodness. All 3 of them had been birthed in his office at the university. She recalled crying after they had come, having no help to raise them. She told Tony and Lauren she had no family and their father didn't care, which was true. They had taken pity on her, a 20-year-old with triplets and no family to help her out. They had been there for her, so much so she now looked at them as her surrogate family, a second mom and dad, not that she actually called them that. No one knew what she was, who her children's father was. Those things were still a secret she would take to her grave. Humans had no idea about wolfen society, and she was not allowed to let them in on the knowledge either. Wolfen society law. The next official letter arrived at her residence 10 days after she moved. A shiver ran through her. Moving had not worked. She returned it to sender, not at this address, and prayed to the goddess that would be the end of it. 2 weeks later, another letter came. Again, she returned it to sender, unopened and with the same message, not at this address. In the human world, this would have been enough for them to get the message, that the person they were looking for did not live at the address they had. Again, she prayed to the goddess that let this be the end of it. She couldn't go back. She could never return. He had ordered her as much.